The Relentless Haunting. Months had passed since the Carter family fled the abandoned farmhouse, but the sinister presence they encountered had not let them go. Despite their best efforts to move on, they lived in constant fear, plagued by unexplainable events and a sense of impending doom. The Carters settled in a new town, far from the rural countryside. Their new home was a modest suburban house, hoping that proximity to neighbors would offer some semblance of safety. However, it wasn't long before the eerie occurrences began again. One night, as Emily tucked Lily and Ben into bed, she noticed Lily's unease. "What's wrong, sweetie?" she asked. Lily hesitated, then whispered, "He's back, Mommy. The man from the closet. He says he wants us to come back to the farmhouse." Emily's heart sank. "It's just a bad dream, honey. Try to get some sleep." That night, Emily and John heard whispers echoing through the house. The temperature dropped, and shadows moved along the walls. John, a skeptic at heart, tried to rationalize the events, but even he couldn't deny the growing sense of dread. The following day, Emily received a call from Mrs. Peterson, the historian. Her voice was urgent. "Emily, I've been doing more research on the Whitley family. They were involved in something far darker than we thought. Their rituals weren't just to communicate with the dead. They were trying to summon something." Emily felt a chill. "Summon what?" "A demon," Mrs. Peterson replied. "The Whitleys believed they could control it, but they were wrong. It killed them, and now it's attached to your family. You need to find a way to break the connection." Desperate, Emily sought the help of Father O'Malley, a priest known for his work in exorcisms. He agreed to visit the house that evening. As he performed the blessing, the atmosphere grew tense. The air became thick and oppressive, and a low growl reverberated through the walls. "Show yourself," Father O'Malley commanded, holding up a crucifix. The room grew dark, and a figure materialized in the shadows. It was the man from the farmhouse, his eyes glowing red.
"You cannot banish me," it hissed. "They belong to me."
The priest continued his prayers, but the entity laughed, its form shifting and growing more menacing. Furniture began to levitate and smash against the walls. Lily and Ben screamed in terror as the entity's grip tightened around them. Suddenly, the house went silent. The entity disappeared, but Father O'Malley looked grave. "This is beyond a simple exorcism. The demon has a strong hold. You must confront it at the source, the farmhouse." Reluctantly, the Carters agreed. They returned to the abandoned farmhouse with Father O'Malley and Mrs. Peterson, hoping to end the nightmare once and for all. The house was even more decrepit and foreboding than before. As they entered, the door slammed shut behind them, trapping them inside. The group made their way to the hidden room in the basement. The pentagram on the floor seemed to pulse with a dark energy. Father O'Malley began the ritual, chanting in Latin and sprinkling holy water. The demon manifested, more powerful and enraged than ever. "You cannot defeat me," it roared, its voice shaking the foundations of the house. Emily clutched the leather-bound book they had found, realizing it held the key to breaking the demon's hold. As she read aloud the incantations, the demon screamed in fury, its form flickering and writhing. "Keep going, Emily," Father O'Malley urged, his voice strained as he held the demon at bay with his prayers. Suddenly, the demon lunged at Emily, knocking the book from her hands. John grabbed it and continued the incantation, his voice steady despite the fear gripping him. The demon shrieked, its form dissolving into a black mist. With one final cry, the demon was sucked into the pentagram, disappearing in a burst of light. The room fell silent, and the oppressive atmosphere lifted. The Carters, exhausted but relieved, looked at each other with hope. "It's over," Emily whispered, tears streaming down her face. Father O'Malley nodded, but Mrs. Peterson remained cautious. The Whitleys' mistake was believing they could control such darkness. "You must be vigilant. Evil always finds a way." The Carters returned to their new home, the haunting memories of the farmhouse slowly fading. Life began to return to normal, and they felt a sense of peace for the first time in months. However, one night, as Emily was putting away some old belongings, she found the leather-bound book hidden in a box. A sense of unease washed over her as she opened it. The pages were blank, but as she flipped through, words began to appear, written in a dark, ominous script. "You can never truly leave." Emily's heart raced. She knew then that the battle was far from over. The demon had been banished, but its essence lingered, waiting for the right moment to return. From that day forward, the Carters lived with the knowledge that the darkness was always watching, always waiting. The haunting was not over. It had merely taken a new form, one that would continue to plague them, testing their strength and resolve. And somewhere in the shadows, the demon watched, biding its time, knowing that its moment of vengeance would come again.